Hi everyone. I hope I'm audible. Okay. So we'll start with this. Um, Basically, I'll be starting a five kingdom classification today. Okay. So before I start, let me introduce myself. I'm Vani Kari, biology educator at an academy. I'm an engineer with bachelor's and master's degree in biotechnology and a B.Ed degree. Also a founder of a startup where I grow microgreens by vertical farming technology. So join with us in Telegram. So that is for homework and class notes. You can join the channel Vani Kari ICSE class 9 and 10 biology and the Telegram channel of Unacademy ICSE and ISE both. So this link you can find in the description box. So go to the description box. So there you will find the link for this channel, that is an academy channel. So let me just check once. Okay. We'll be conducting special classes on an academy platform. All you need to do is download the Unacademy Learners app and start taking up sessions. So these are absolutely free classes where you can learn from your favorite educator for free. Engage with the educators via poll. So different educators are coming up with their own themes. So you will have access to their classes once you basically this is anyway free classes are there. So this you just have to download and maybe if it ask any code, so you can just enter the particular educator code to unlock the free courses that are there on the platform. So you can engage with the educators via poll and clear your doubt in the live special classes. So we'll be conducting the classes, that is special classes. So any doubts that you have, so you can just click on that question tab, type in your question. You even have an option to attach an image and send it to the educator during a live session. So you can clear your doubt in the live special class. So now for the top special classes, again you can find the link in the description there. All right. So this is about the Unacademy subscription feature where you can learn live from the comfort of your home. Unlimited access to all the courses will be there. Then top educators of India are going to take the classes in one platform, so that is Unacademy platform. Regular doubt clearing session will be done, so that is after about every 3 session, the fourth session will be a doubt clearing session. So whatever doubts you have related to the topics that are previously covered, so you can clear your doubt in the doubt clearing session. So exhaustive coverage like complete syllabus, 100% syllabus coverage will be done here. Mentorship and guidance will be given. Okay, so study materials are given which will be in the form of a PDF itself. So practice tests are conducted, live test series are conducted. You will have access to different batches. So now we have a batch in English and there is a batch in English as well. So once you take the subscription, which we basically call them as plus classes, so you will have access to English batch also as well as English batch. So you can go for daily practice section, weekly mock test series, live quizzes are conducted, and also there is daily MCQ and subjective test series will also be there. So right now this offer is going on. So this is for class 9 where you can have a 1 year subscription for class 9, and there are a lot of students who start their early preparation for the competitive exams. So basically like JEE, NEET and NTSC. So you can start your preparation early in class 9 itself. So there is a combo offer which you can make a best use of. Okay, just a second. Yeah, so you can make a best use of this combo offer where the cost is reduced from 34,500 to 31,050. Okay, so with this amount again there is a code which you can use. So basically the code is Vani YT. Okay, so with this code you will be getting 10% discount on the subscription. So that is on this amount. So you can go for this offer. So those who are preparing for NEET or JEE or NTSC now itself, so you can just go ahead with this. So this is basically a plus subscription price. So that is an like plans at an affordable price for both class 9 as well as for class 10. So you can just go ahead with this. So usually we all suggest you all to go with 12 months of subscription, or even you can go for the higher month. So why exactly? Because if you are taking a 12-month subscription, so now you are in class 9, so you will be getting class 10, class 11 and class 12 subscription absolutely free if you are going for 12 months of subscription. And on top, basically you will be having a 10% discount also. So for 12 months it is 17,250, or if you have planned, well, maybe you can even go for higher months of subscription as well. Okay, so today we are going to discuss about the 5 kingdom classification. Okay, so earlier how many kingdoms were there? Any idea? Earlier when we used to say, when just the classification started, so there was a kingdom Animalia and there was a kingdom Plantae. So now right now we have a 5 kingdom classification where a perfect, we can say, or maybe more precise classification is done, where R.H. Whittaker, so the scientist, name of the scientist who came up with this one is basically R.H. Whittaker, who has basically classified these animals, or basically the living organisms, into Monera, Protista, Fungi, Plantae and Animalia. So they all of them are having a different features. Okay, so different body features are there. So some so there is a little confusion that was there earlier when the 2 kingdom classification was there. Okay, so the Protista were placed in Plantae, the Monera, everything. So basically they used to keep every organism in Plantae and Animalia, which was just 2 kingdom. Now we have a 5 kingdom classification where a perfect characterization is, so that is salient features, is known, and they are placed in a respective category based on their characteristic features. So this is a 5 kingdom classification. All right, so let's see this. And the kingdom classification is basically given by the R.H. Whittaker itself. So in that case, 2 kingdom classification, based on what exactly did they classify these organisms. So in case of 2 kingdom, okay, so based on what exactly the classification was done. So that is whether the plants are moving, animals are moving. Okay, so and in case of animals only again, so whether they have a white blood or a red blood. So basically based on external features. Okay, so this is basically based on some external appearance or external features. The 2 kingdom classification was done, where it was only the Plantae and it was only the Animalia. Right now we have 5 of them: Monera, Protista, then there is Fungi, and you can see there is a Plantae and Animalia. So let's have a look at this. So what exactly is the criteria for this 5 kingdom classification? Any idea on this? Any of you? No idea? Alright, so 5 kingdom classification system. So criteria used for classification. So cell structure is mentioned, mode of nutrition is mentioned, and there is reproduction, like whether the type of reproduction, whether a sexual or asexual. So cell structure when we mention, so whether it is a prokaryotic one or a eukaryotic one, and the mode of nutrition, whether it is a autotroph or a heterotroph, and phylogenetic relationship is also considered. So what exactly is a phylogenetic relation. So that is the evolutionary relationship, or we can say ancestral relationship. Okay, so that can be considered. And the thallus organization, which is nothing but the body organization in case of these organisms. So whether they are unicellular, whether they are multicellular, so all that can be looked by here. So that is basically a thallus organization. So in that case, unicellular, multicellular is looked on. Okay, so these are the some of the features. So that is five kingdom classification system, where the criteria used for classification is cell structure. So cell structure, again, prokaryote or a eukaryote. Mode of nutrition, autotroph or a heterotroph. Reproduction, so whether they reproduce asexually or sexually. Phylogenetic, at least I told you, it is the evolutionary relationship or the ancestral background is basically checked. And the thallus organization, so that is the body organization, where you see this particular body is unicellular organism or a multicellular organism. So that will be looked by this one. Okay, so just a second, so there is some, this case basically five kingdom classification system. So based on these features itself, or the criteria itself, the classification has started. Okay, so in that case, there is the first kingdom that we have already seen, so the list which is there. So the first being the Monera. So how exactly classification is done? So the prokaryotic organism, so all the prokaryotic organism, especially the unicellular ones. Okay, so prokaryotic unicellular organisms you can find in here. So that is in the kingdom Monera. So this is about the unicellular. Okay, so only the kingdom where you can find prokaryotic organisms and they are unicellular. So that kingdom is basically a Monera kingdom. Okay, so next comes what? So next is basically eukaryotic. So next, all the kingdoms that are there, so all of them are eukaryotic in nature. So let's just draw eukaryotic over here. So this also is going to be a eukaryotic one. And then there is a eukaryotic one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so 5 of the kingdom, which is given according to the RH Whittaker. So this one is basically, you can find again a unicellular one itself. And that is basically a Protista. Okay, so Protista is the next one. So eukaryotic, but yes, they are multicellular, so not unicellular. So exception is basically yeast, and that you can find it to be a fungi. So where you can find a cell wall. So both of these are having a cell wall. Okay, so now you know this is also a multicellular only. So this is also a multicellular. So this one is a Plantae. So what exactly is the difference then? So difference is that both are having a cell wall. So this also has the cell wall. This also has the cell wall. But you know, this is a heterotroph. Okay. So this one is the heterotroph, whereas the Plantae is autotroph. Okay, so in that case, plant is this. So next, again, this one being the multicellular organism, so that is for Animalia. And again, these are basically heterotrophic in nature. So these are heterotrophic, they do not synthesize their own food. So it is Animalia being the last one over there. Okay, so now these are the kingdoms that you can find. Prokaryotic unicellular are Monera, eukaryotic unicellular are Protista, eukaryotic multicellular fungi with a cell wall but a heterotroph is again a fungi. So multicellular eukaryotic autotrophic ones are the Plantae. So eukaryotic multicellular heterotrophic without cell wall. So this is without cell wall, this is with the cell wall. So that is the Animalia over here. Okay, so let's just have a look at the kingdom Monera. So kingdom Monera, anyway, One second, let me just see this. Okay, so Kingdom Monera, when we mention, so there you can find these are the examples. So one being a bacteria, mycoplasma, actinomycetes, cyanobacteria. So these are the main monerans there. So that means these are the examples. So mycoplasma being the smallest of all the bacteria, where usually we say that the range is basically going to start from 0.5 micrometers for a normal bacteria. But the mycoplasma, so this is basically going to vary. So it can have up to 0.3 micrometer. So starting off the size for this itself is 0.5 micrometer. So this is the smallest living organism or the smallest bacteria that we can mention. And actinomycetes are there, cyanobacteria are there. So these are all the main moneran. So what is the characteristic feature of a monera then? So monera are primitive. So why do we say primitive? Because there is a bacterial cell, and inside this you can see that the DNA is randomly suspended. Okay, so DNA is randomly suspended without any covering, which is basically a primitive type of, which you can find in a primitive type of organism. So that is old type. So unicellular, yes, this is only a single cell you can find. So it is unicellular. So they can have a flagella throughout their body, or you can also find them having only one flagella, or flagella on the both the side can also be possible. So you can find a flagella like structures. So these are unicellular prokaryotic organisms divide of membrane bound organelles. So like mitochondria you do not see, Golgi apparatus you do not see. So basically there is no well defined nucleus, or we can say the devoid of membrane bound organelles are also not there. So this is basically having cytoplasm with ribosomes, some like genetic material is present. So how exactly respiration occurs then if there is no mitochondria. So you all know that mitochondria is where the respiration occurs. So they have a membrane foldings, infoldings of the membranes. Okay, and those enfoldings of the membranes basically act as the mesosome. So somewhat like this. Okay, so these act as the mesosome where they'll help in the respiration process. So with respect to that, yes, so these are the mesosomes which help in respiration. So even though it is not having a membrane bound organelles, even though it is not having a mitochondria, but yes, still you can see there is basically a mesosome formation, and that mesosome is basically providing a site for the respiration. So there are no membrane bound organelles in monerans. Okay, and these are found in all kinds of habitats. So what is that all kind of habitat? So now you might have read on news or maybe some articles that you might have read. So where a lot of articles say that some of the bacteria, even if we heat them, so basically they are dying. Okay, but some of the bacterias which are there, so you pour acid on them, so those are called as acidophils. Okay, or we can extremophiles we call them basically. Okay, so extremophiles when we mention, so basically they can tolerate the extreme conditions. Okay, so what extreme conditions? So let's say there is temperature is too high, or maybe a salty concentration is there, or acidic condition is there, or acidic concentration is too high surrounding this. So in all these conditions, so basically this bacteria is still able to survive. So that is extremophile condition, where they are found in all kinds of the habitats. So scoring 95% as such, it is a big thing. But yeah, so in 3-4 days, if you have to score, so basically you might not be able to score 95. But yes, of course, you can score well. Okay, it might not be up to that point, but yeah. So you have to just concentrate on important topics, the previous year question paper. So if you are talking about class 9, so you can just concentrate on the important topics only and just go ahead about practicing or maybe studying. So whatever way of studying you have, so that you can follow up, so that you just finish off the important topics earlier. All right, so that can be done, but anyway, scoring 95 just with 3 or 4 days, it is anyway difficult. So if you are completely dedicating all these 3 to 4 days only for one particular subject, yes, that might be possible, but scoring again too high is might not be. So some bacteria are parasitic. Okay, so there are parasitic bacteria which can cause disease in case of plants and animals. So in case of plants and animals, so diseases can be caused and they are parasite. So that means they take the nourishment from the living organisms. Okay, so from living organisms they are taking the nourishment. Do ICSE class 10 first semester question paper contains only previous year question? Okay, you are in class 10. Alright. So I thought you were asking about class 9. So class 9 anyway you can just cover important topics. So just a second. Class 10 you can anyway refer old question papers. So that would help you a lot, but we cannot say that 100% it will be PYQs only. Okay, so some can be there, but 100% there is no, all the questions are previous year questions. So they would do some modifications and all, and based on the modification or certain value change they can do and give those questions. Only thing is that, so similar pattern you can find. So you will understand the pattern, you will understand the type of question that you would get if you refer the question papers. Okay, so there are previous year questions will also be there, but yes, again not 100%, but to some extent it will be there. Okay, and even if it is there in the other form, so it is going to be like, so some modifications they would do and give it to you. So basically it is better you all refer previous year questions and get an idea like what is the type or what is the pattern or how exactly they are trying to change these questions. The same question only they are changing, so they are little modifying, so you will understand that if you refer a PYQ. Okay, so moving on to the kingdom Monera, that is the types which are there. So you can find the bacterias are of 4 major types. Okay, so coccus is basically a spherical one, so you have already studied. So now you know if this coccus bacteria which is spherical in nature, so if it is only one, we call it anyway as a coccus. If let's say 2 are there like this, okay, so 2 of them exist. One second. So we call them as the diplococci. Okay, so that is 2 of them are existing, so it is diplococci. So same way, let's say they exist in the form of a chain like this, so they are forming a chain completely, so this we call as the streptococci. Okay, so there is one more term if the bacteria are existing in a cluster form. Okay, so that means they are forming a cluster, not a chain like this. So then we call them as the staphylococci. Okay, so now cocci is basically for the spherical structure or the oval structure, and if only one is present, yes, of course it is coccus. Okay, so this part what you see, so this is going to be coccus. If 2 exist, so it is a diplococci. If they are in a chain, so that is streptococci. If they are forming a cluster, so that is a staphylococci. So same way with respect to bacillus as well. So which are not spherical or oval shaped, so these are round shaped ones. Okay, so that is rod shaped, so not, sorry, not round, so this is rod shaped. What exactly is rod? So now you know, so exactly somewhat like this. So they are more of a rod shaped structures. So these rod shaped bacteria, what are they? So again they can also exist two in number. So when they are two in number, we call them as diplobacilli. So if they are forming a chain continuously like this, okay, so let me just draw it here. So now you know this is anyway going to be a diplococci. But if it is continuing to form a chain like this, so many of them are attached to each other. So in that case, we can just call this as a not diplo, streptobacilli. Okay. So same way now, you know, if these bacilli exist here in the form of a cluster. Okay. So they are forming a cluster, so random cluster formation you can see over them. So that we call as the staphylobacilli. Okay, so spirillum also the same thing. The spirilla is basically screw like twisted. So we can just show it somewhat like this, or certain cases it can be shown this way also. So spirillum is basically a spiral shaped bacteria which you can again find in the conditions where the moist area is present. So they require water for the processes. So in that case you can find them. So spirillum, and then there is a vibrio. So vibrio also, it is basically a comma shaped bacteria. Okay, so this one is a comma shaped bacteria. Example, maybe we can say Vibrio cholerae. Okay, so Vibrio cholerae is the example which causes the cholera in case of different individuals. So that is caused by whom? It is caused by the Vibrio cholerae itself. Okay, so there are different shapes and these you need to remember, because again in class 9 itself, I think economic importance of bacteria. So there again this identification is there. So whether you need to identify whether it is diplococci, whether it is a cocci, bacilli, spirillum, or the vibrio in the first place itself. So this is all about the kingdom Monera. Moving on to kingdom Protista. So what exactly is kingdom Protista consist of? Any idea on this? So just a second. Okay, so kingdom Protista, when we mention, so these are again unicellular organisms. So example for unicellular organism, you can mention Euglena, there is amoeba, then there is paramecium. So if we have to consider from other categories, so fungi, it is a yeast which is a unicellular. Then you can also find the bacteria again, which is basically from the kingdom Monera. So that is also unicellular. So here in this case, so these are most single eukaryotes from the kingdom Protista. This acts as a connecting link between the Monera and there are multicellular organism. Okay, so they act as a connecting link between these two. So now as eukaryotes, so they have a well-defined nucleus and there are organelles, so that is with the membranes. So you can find a well-defined nucleus because it is a kingdom Protista where the nuclear membrane is covering the DNA which is present there. Okay, so now examples anyway we discussed. So let's have a look at the diagram over which is given in your textbook. So this is of a amoeba that forms the pseudopodia. Okay, so this forms the pseudopodia there. And again you can find there is a paramecium, there is a euglena, and you can find there is a chlamydomonas, which is basically comes under the algae category now. All right, any doubt, any of you? Just a second. Then there is kingdom fungi. So kingdom fungi can also be called as a mycota. Okay, so now you know mycota when we mention, so basically you can see there are different characteristic features. So during the pandemic period you might have heard, like there is a term which was used, so for a fungal disease, that is mucormycosis, right? So mucormycosis, or basically myco, wherever you come across the term myco, mucor, so this is all related to the fungi, where they have glycogen as the reserve food. Okay, so the glycogen is basically a reserve food in them, and they are having a cell wall that is made up of a chitin. Then they are basically eukaryotic organisms. So why do we say that these are eukaryotic? Because there you can find a well defined nucleus. Okay, so there is a well defined nucleus that can be found, and other than that, just a second, so other than that you can also find these, basically these are multicellular. So body organization here is not unicellular, but yes, of course they are multicellular, and since they do not have their own chlorophyll, so what exactly is the thing here? So it is basically they are heterotrophic. So excess amount of food that they take up, so all that will be converted into glycogen. So that is basically a glucose itself is converted into glycogen and will be stored here as the reserve food in the body of the fungi. So also called mycota, the kingdom fungi is basically heterotrophic organism of diverse habitat and morphology. Okay, the body of fungi contains numerous fungal hyphae. Okay, so there you can find many of the hyphae structure. So tubular transport filaments can be found. So now hyphae are cells basically filled with the protoplasm, and they have their own nucleus and are covered by the cell wall. So let me just draw here and explain. So let's say this is one hypha. Okay, so this is a hypha. So as such you can find a mycelium structure there, okay, which is basically growing onto this one. So now you know this is having a protoplasm. So there is a protoplasm, that means it is having its own nuclei. Okay, so here also you can find. So what exactly I am drawing? So this is a fungi that I am drawing, where this we call as a hypha. The whole thing is basically a hyphae, the whole thing over here. So this can be considered to be a hyphae there. And now you know all of them together, so this is basically a mycelium. Okay, so this is a mycelium. So all of these are basically having cytoplasm. So these are multicellular, right? So they have their own cytoplasm and a nucleus. So here also cytoplasm and a nucleus. So now you know this whole thing, we can just call this as a mycelium. All right, so fungi, when we mention, just a second. So fungi, when we mention, so these are basically multicellular organisms which are filled with the protoplasm and have a nucleus and are covered by a wall. So now you know each one of them are having basically the cell walls, and that cell wall is again made up of a chitin itself. So there is a chitin compound that will be there in the cell wall of the fungi. So what exactly have I written here? Mycelium. Okay, so this is mycelia or a mycelium. So some examples are mentioned here. So it is bread mold, toadstool, yeast is mentioned, then there is penicillium is mentioned. Okay, so bread mold you can just have a look at. So anyway, the ones that I had drawn, so maybe we can just take it as a bread piece as well. Okay, so this can be taken as a bread, and then you know the growth of the fungi can occur over there. Hi Prince, good evening. So now you know bread mold, toadstool is basically a mushroom like itself, so which is a mushroom. And now you know you can find different types of mushrooms actually, but don't go for eating all the types of mushroom. So few ones which are grown in the laboratory, so that can be considered. So yeast is basically unicellular, but yes, you can see that this is undergoing a budding process, so that it can produce a multiple copies of itself, so which is a sexual mode of reproduction. Then this one is a penicillium, where you can see a hypha. So each one of them are hypha. So here also you can find that there is a spore formation that can be seen. Okay, so that is in the sporangia. Any doubt till here? Any of you? Alright, so in Kingdom Plantae are eukaryotic again. So these are eukaryotic organisms with the chlorophyll. Okay, so there you can find a, one second. So the kingdom Plantae are eukaryotic organisms with chlorophyll. So the cell structure consists of a cell wall, that is with cellulose and chloroplast. Heterotrophic plants include insectivorous plant and there are parasitic plant. So can you mention any of the parasitic plant or can you mention any of the insectivorous plants? Any of you here who know the answer? So what is parasitic plant actually? So when do we say that it is a parasite? The plant, we always say that the plants are autotrophic, right? So that means they prepare their own food since they have a chlorophyll, so they trap the sunlight and photosynthesis occurs, we see. So what exactly is this then? Heterotrophic plant they have given, and it is mentioned insectivorous plant and the parasitic. So what exactly is this parasitic plant? So insectivorous plant, at least you already have studied it in class 6 basically, or class 7. So where you have studied different plants. So that is Venus flytrap is there, pitcher plant is there. So all these are basically insectivorous plant where they'll trap the insect and they'll digest them inside, and the nourishment is taken from those insects actually. So that is an insectivorous plant. So what about a parasitic plant then? Any of you? No idea? So parasitic plant is nothing but, so let's say green pigment. So that is chlorophyll is anyway there, but that is not sufficient. So whatever chlorophyll, whatever leaves are there in that particular plant or the runner we can say, so that is not sufficient in order to fulfill the requirement of food supply to this plant. So in that condition, so let's say huge tree is growing and this runner is basically, it will coil around that tree and it will take the nourishment from directly from the tree itself. Okay, so it is sucking the nourishment or it is sucking the nutrition from the tree and the runner is basically growing there. Okay, so in that case basically it is a parasite. When do we say parasite? Parasite is basically the one organism, so basically depending on other organisms, so that is for food, so especially the living organism. So from the living organisms the nourishment is sucked by the another living organism, so that we call as a parasite. Okay, so in that case a tree is already existing and from the tree the runner is basically taking the nourishment directly, so those we call as a parasitic plant. Okay, so rare cases we say that the plants are heterotrophic, but yes, they do exist. The heterotrophic plants do exist, that is basically they take the nourishment from the other. So now other than that, the kingdom Plantae are, yes, as usual, they are eukaryotic organisms with the chlorophyll, where you can see activation of the chlorophyll is done, right? So activation of chlorophyll is done, so that is in the photosynthesis process. Then you can see basically photolysis of water. So activation of chlorophyll, once it occurs, so there starts the food synthesis. Okay, so food preparation is basically, I think you cannot see there, right? Yeah, so basically once this occurs, so basically food preparation occurs from this one. So that is basically using the chlorophyll, using the sunlight, using the atmospheric carbon dioxide, and also using the what do we say? So that is water. Okay, so basically all these raw materials are required, and what is produced? So the production of glucose occurs. So then there is production of oxygen also, where this oxygen is released to the surrounding atmosphere. So in that case, they are autotrophs. So cell structure consists of a cell wall. So what exactly cell wall of a plant is made of? Anybody? So plant cell wall is made up of water. So this is made up of cellulose. In certain cases, yes, you can find hemicellulose. Certain cases, again, you can find a pectin also. So basically, the cell wall, when we mention for a plant cell, so it is always a cellulose. So heterotrophic plants include insectivorous plants and parasitic plant. Now other than that, the kingdom Plantae. So the types of plants, we have a classification again, or we can say divisions of the Plantae kingdom. So you can find algae, so you can find bryophytes, you can find a pteridophyte or pteridophyta. Okay, so algae can also be called as a thallophyta. So this one is basically a thallophyta or a thallophytes. Bryophytes or a bryophyta, pteridophytes or a pteridophyta, gymnosperms, and then there are angiosperms. So what exactly is the difference in all of this? Any of you, any idea what exactly is the division? I mean, what exactly is the characteristic feature? So why there is a division which has been done as such? So algae, when we mention, so there is no well-defined body. So you cannot differentiate. So thallus type of body you can find. So especially when we mention algae, okay. So in algae you can find a thallus body, okay. So now when you observe a thallus body, so do you see that is there any leaf, is there any root like structure, or root, is there any stem? So all that if we observe, so basically thallophyta, so these do not have a well differentiated body, okay. So there is a random structure which is being formed, so just like a thallus form, what we call, okay. And that's the reason, so the algae are basically, you can find few multicellular algae, okay, and very less of them are going to be unicellular. So this is unicellular algae. So that is basically based on the organization. So in that case, so algae body is, there is no well differentiated, okay. So reason being, so one second. So algae is having a thallus body. The reason being, so there is no well developed, one second. Yeah, so there is no well developed formation of the root or stem, or basically the leaves and all, so are not clearly distinguished in here, okay. So moving on to this one, so let's have a look at this. So this is about the algae. So algae, so thallophyta, then bryophyta. So bryophyta example is very important, which is basically moss, and then there is a liverwort, and here you can find a gymnosperm, which is basically bearing a naked seeds, okay. So there are naked seed formation that occurs here in the gymnosperm. Bryophytes, so this is a thallus body over here, okay. So for bryophyte, to some extent, yes, you can differentiate, not clearly, but to some extent, yes, you can differentiate which one is a flower, which one is basically the leaf here. So you can just differentiate this, and so this you clearly understand that this is a leaf, and this looks like a flower. So in that case, the thallus body itself is there, but still the recognition can be done easily. Here, the seeds are not there, so basically naked seeds we can mention, and that itself, so that is with respect to gymnosperms. So they will undergo fertilization process by combining pollen grain from one plant to the other, and there is a sexual reproduction in plants that can be seen. So that is basically a fertilization, okay. So now pteridophyte, when we mention, so example is fern. To some extent, yes, you can find which one is a leaf, which one is a stem, or which one is basically a root. So here a differentiation can be done to some extent. Okay, so angiosperms are these. Okay, and especially here the fruit bearing ones are mentioned as such. So these are flowering plants. Okay, so angiosperms are flowering plant where without the flower, so there is no reproduction occurring. So flower, it is a must. Where the reproduction occurs, you can see the male and the female gamete will start to combine there. One second. Hi, Pavani. Alright. So these are the different examples which are mentioned. Again, angiosperms depending on the seed production. So they are again classified as the dicot seeds and the monocot seeds. So if they are having a two cotyledons, it is a dicot. If it is having only one cotyledon, so it can be considered as a monocot. So based on the number of seed production or the structure and shape of the seed, so you can see basically the angiosperm is further classified as the monocot as well as the dicot there. Okay, so other than that, so these are anyway the different examples of the plant kingdom. Okay, so next there is a kingdom Animalia. So kingdom Animalia characteristic feature is what? So these are well developed sensory and neuromuscular one. So basically there is a well developed mechanism you can see. In case of plant, there is no neuromuscular, so there are no muscles, there are no nervous tissue, but anyway sensation is done through the different body parts. Here in case of Animalia, yes, so sensory development, motor development is much more good. So where you can find a well developed sensory and neuromuscular mechanism, definite shape is there, size and a growth pattern, holozoic mode of nutrition, that is basically ingesting a food. Okay, so ingestion, so we are just making the food outside, that is we are cooking the food outside, then it is taken in through the mouth, so that is holozoic mode of nutrition with glycogen here, just like the fungi. So glycogen is also stored here in the animals, which is basically a stored food material. So locomotion is present there. So what exactly is locomotion? So that is basically the movement. Okay, so movement can be seen, so here it can be with respect to one place to the other. All right, so copulation is the method for exchange of gases, which is basically a fertilization process that has to occur so that the exchange of gametes can occur. So this we can see in the kingdom Animalia. Again, the main features or the main common features including, so this Animalia is multicellular, and Animalia is basically a eukaryotic, so it is a heterotrophic organism without the cell wall, because Animalia, so there is no cell wall. Okay, so in case of plants you can find a cell wall there. All right, I hope this is clear. Any of you, any doubts that you have, you guys can ask me your doubts. So before I end this session, so there is a batch which is a guardians batch, where all the subjects are covered here. So this is for class 9, and the start date of this particular batch is July 6th. Okay, where we have already started with the revision. So only 2 classes are done here for the revision. So all you have to do is start watching the recording. Okay, so watch the recordings of these sessions. One second. Yeah, so watch recordings of these sessions, and basically you will have access to all these courses, all these batches once you take the subscription. So you can just make a note of the timings also, that is 4 to 5 p.m, and you can just note over here also. So 9 to 10 p.m is this one, 6:30 to 7:30, so it is basically Tuesday, Thursday and Saturday. And then you can see there is biology, so 7:45 p.m to 8:45 p.m. So if you are subscribing for class 9, so you will be getting class 10 class 11 and class 12 subscription absolutely free with this. Just a second. Alright, and also this one is ICSE combo offer for those learners who are starting their preparation early. So that is for class 9 and also for JEE and NEET as well as NTSE. So you can go ahead with this offer where basically you can save up to 34,500 is reduced to 31,050. So basically you can reduce, and also with the code Vani YT. So the code is basically Vani YT. So this is my code. With this you will be getting 10% discount on the subscription. Okay, and this is about the pricing. So for 12 months, so now we usually suggest you all to go with 12 months of subscription. So that is because once you go for 12 months of subscription, so basically we have you have an option where 1 second. Yeah, so where this one you can just have a look at this. So where you will be getting, so let's say you are subscribing for whole class 9, so you will be getting class 10, class 11 and class 12 subscription absolutely free with this. So whenever you have a time, so you can prepare for your class 10, you can prepare for your class 11 as well as class 12. So you can just finish up your preparation with a particular class, and as you study more in detail, so you will have a better picture of this concept. So based on that, you can start your early preparation. So that is for the NEET or maybe JEE or NTSE. So this is about the community, introducing community. Never miss on any update from your favorite educator. So you can get the session notes and practice material here. Share your feedback directly with the educators via poll. So check out the link to the educator community below there. Okay, so Bucks Bounty. So this is opportunity for all learners to report any inappropriate content in the video. So be the first one to report a particular issue to claim your prize. Then report any inappropriate content using the form in the description. Yes, any of you, any doubts? Are there any? Academy Learners app and start adding your information there. So basically you can just give in your details like which class you are studying in, so that you will find the relevant classes links. Okay, so you can also download the Learners app from the Play Stores and start taking up the free sessions in general, and also quizzes are being conducted, so those quizzes you will have access to. All right, and now if you need, okay, so the notes that I have added here, so if you need the notes, basically you can, what you can do is you can just ping me here on the community, okay, where you can ask me to send that particular notes of the lesson that I had taken on writing. So I'll be sending it there, okay, or otherwise you can also join in my Telegram. So the Telegram is basically I'll just write here. So it is Vani Kari ICSE class 9 and 10. You can just search it on my Telegram, or basically on your Telegram, so that you can find the link. I mean, you will find this link, and you can join in that Telegram channel. So any updates regarding Unacademy or any offers that are there, so any doubt that you have, so I'll be clearing it out there. Okay, so thank you all. So see you all in the next session. So subscribe to our channel, that is Unacademy ICSE and ISC boards. Click on bell icon, that is to get notified about these sessions. Like and share the video. So this video you can share with your friends, because I have just started the 5 kingdom classification. So you can just start this one, I mean start sharing this particular session with your friends, and any doubts you have, you can just get in touch and download the Unacademy Learners app. So this PDF can be sent on So this is for a PDF, so that is on community, or like you can directly take it from me, so that is from the Telegram as well. So this can be done over here. All right, so I hope everything is clear. So next class we'll see, so some of the questions, so we'll try to conduct a Menti quiz. All right, for class 9 anyway I can conduct a quiz maybe from cell chapter. Okay, let's see, I'll anyway inform you guys, so you can just enroll for these. So basically you can click on the bell icon to get notified about the sessions. All right, so Nitish was here. All right, okay, so any doubts you have, you can just get it clarified there. So see you all in the next session. Bye bye everyone, take care. So next session will be on Monday. Okay, so tomorrow anyway I don't have any sessions on writing, so Monday I'll be taking a session for maybe for class 9 or 10. I'll be anyway informing here itself. All right, so see you all in the next session. Bye bye everyone, take care.